I don't want to give too much away, but there's something else I want to talk about, so this is going to be a complete spoiler. If you are not interested in hearing it, end the video now. This is going to be, I think, my last talking point, so thanks for being here. I will talk to you later. Tell me what you think about the film down below if you've seen it, want to see it, waiting for it to come out on DVD. I personally told my mom she couldn't handle seeing it in theaters, so we'll get it when it comes out, and I'll let my family watch it because I don't think I can watch it with them. That's a different problem I have. So, for those of you who don't mind spoiler, or who have seen it, please continue watching. I'll give you a minute to go. Okay, you've been warned. My favorite character in the whole film, Poe, who's played by Moises whatever, who turned out to be, like, surprisingly brilliant at acting in this film. Not that I thought he was a bad actor, I just was still surprised, I guess. That sounds bad. His character suddenly passes away. And I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this specifically just for, I'm going to be honest, this is going to sound kind of mean, for the parents out there who are saying, that's not how this works, because this is really important. It's important to me that it gets said. It absolutely does happen. 100%. In fact, with CF, there are often times where you can be healthy 1 minute, or by healthy, I mean at baseline, your standard average of health. Not good, but, you know, seemingly acceptable, we'll say. And the next minute you can be on your deathbed. And I don't want to sound mean or pessimistic or like I'm telling you something maybe you don't already know. But this is super important to me to address because this happened to me. I was at my standard baseline of health. And I woke up in the middle of the night, one night, and I couldn't breathe. And 100%, I felt like I was having a panic attack, so I ignored it. I mean, I've had panic attacks 100% exactly identical to that feeling of breathlessness and just like increased heart rate kind of feeling. Less than a month from that date, I had received a lung transplant, having previously to that night never been evaluated. Well, I can't say that. I had never been evaluated at my adult hospital. I'd never met a transplant team there. And in fact, a few days after this breathing attack that I had had, I was talking with my CF doctor, who happened to be rounding the clinic on the floor at the time. I had gotten admitted after that, you know, panic attack. We were talking about it, and we were saying things like, he literally said, if we can figure out what is causing this exacerbation, at that time thinking it was just a new infection that I hadn't dealt with before. If they could figure out what was causing, you know, if they could get a handle on that infection and exacerbation, I would still have a good 2 years before I needed a transplant. That being said, 2 hours, if that, from that point, I was in the ICU I think it's a bi-pap. It's just like a CPAP with oxygen. It's forced air. Less than a week from that day, I was on life support, 100% depending on machines to stay alive, waiting to maybe get the call for lungs. And that's not to scare anybody. I don't say that as like a point of being, be afraid to be alive, or, no. It's just, I just want to put out there that you can be fine 1 minute and gone the next. It's really important to me. I want people to live their best lives 100% of the time, or at least as often as they're able to. We all have days where we can't be our best, so, I mean, that's expected. And I just want, especially for parents out there who are maybe telling their children, that's not how it happens. That's not real. It's not to be scary. It really isn't. It's just important to me that, because I never would have, I when I went through that, I never would have thought it was possible. My team had never told me that. And the crazy thing is, I had seen that happen to 2 CFers, one of whom I considered a very good friend of mine in the past. You know, baseline health 1 minute, gone, then gone. And it just, the more you are aware that these things can happen, I feel the more effort you can exude to, when things go wrong, take care of them. And maybe to ask the right questions to your team and make sure you're in a place of getting the best care you can 100% of the time. I mean, and it's not that I had done anything wrong, and my doctor didn't do anything wrong in saying, you know, if we can figure out what this problem is, it'll be still, years down the line. The thing we didn't realize in that moment is that the problem was end-stage lung failure. So it wasn't complacency that caused what happened to me. It wasn't, and like I said, it wasn't anybody's fault. It just happens. But knowing, after having gone through that myself, and I'm actually in a place where a second transplant may be a reality. I'm still kind of in a limbo there. But knowing how that happened, I'm completely aware. I'm more attuned to the signs that things aren't going as well as they could be. And I am more vigilant in asking my doctors about, being on top of that transplant evaluation should the need for a second one come again. And before, I just assumed that I have been first put on transplant when I was really young. I was taken off when I was 17 for being too healthy, which is great. I really was. There was no, that was 100% how it was. And I received a transplant at 24, quite a few years later. And every time I would go, and it was hinted at with my CF doctor, mentioned every now and again, transplant, what are we looking at, timeline. But I would much rather, if you're someone who's considering transplant, that's a reality you're looking into, always having that conversation with your doctor. If not, maybe not every appointment, we should feel kind of when, just casually mention that, especially if you're having in a time where maybe your numbers aren't as good as they have been, you're on a long-term downtrend rather than staying 100% straight line across. Nobody should ever be afraid, shy, scared, intimidated to ask your doctor about that. Even if your doctor were to look at you and say, no, we're not there yet, it's so much better that you ask. Get it out there. You'd be completely proactive for your care, because as much as I love my transplant team, not all transplant teams, as much as I loved my CF doctor, not all CF doctors may be 100% proactive for each patient. And that's not something I would ever think any doctor would do it, intentionally. But after seeing, let's say 10 patients a few times a week, maybe they don't recall, okay, we've casually mentioned transplant to this person and that person, and they just assume that it's been mentioned to you. Don't wait for your doctor to mention it. Ask. It's very important to advocate for your own care, especially long-term care. That was really important, because I've seen a lot of people eye-rolling at that moment in the film saying, that's not how it happens, that's not real, and it absolutely is. Obviously not for everybody, but the point is, even if it was just one person, that's too many to not have that conversation with your doctor or your healthcare provider about. So, and lung health is something that can go from being semi-stable to completely deteriorated very fast. It's just a matter of, sometimes our organs get tired of working, and they have days where they're done. And I'm sure there's a way more scientific and smarter way to put that. It's just something I'm passionate about. I'd much rather see everybody casually mention that to their doctor, get an opinion, start that discussion, because in the end, it could be what makes a difference for you. So yes, sorry for the spoiler. I know I didn't go in depth about it, but that was really important to me to talk about. And it really breaks my heart because even personality-wise and like health problem-wise, Poe is the character I connect to the most. And the first time I see the film, I was just like angry. I was like so pissed off. They took out this, like, why? And like as someone who's been there and who like lives through CF, who has seen it happen to other people, I also like that they did that because it's a reality that nobody wants to talk about, but it happens. So 5 Feet Apart has like my CF seal of approval for whatever that's worth. And like I said, there are some eye roll things. There are some writing things in there that make me kind of cringe. That just being a matter of opinion rather than any science-y facts or whatever. But then again, I feel like there are a great many movies out there that have moments where you're like, oh, why did they do that? So, I take it for what it is. I like the film. Definitely will have it on DVD when it comes out. I'm actually excited for more people to see it, especially the more I get to talk about how I love it when people say things like, that's not real, and then it being like, especially when it's people who don't have CF who are saying, that doesn't happen, and it's like, I'm glad you know that. Anyway, okay, this has gone on way too long. I've talked far too much. So thank you for checking this out. Please, 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 let me know what you think of the film, if you've seen it, and if you haven't seen it, any reservations you might have. If anything I can let you know beforehand will set your mind at ease about it. It definitely, seeing CF portrayed outside of having it is not for everybody. I can see why it's hard for parents to see because it shows realities that nobody wants to admit their children may face. So it's not easy kind of seeing a mirror of yourself in film die. That's my kind of perspective. But I am glad it's out there for other people to see. I think it's important representation. There were some really awful attempts at marketing and advertising towards people who don't have CF right before the film came out, and it really, really affected my opinion, and I almost didn't go see the film at all because it just made me angry. They retracted those. Thankfully, they retracted those because they didn't make sense. And now they've been working with people who actually have CF and who can give first-hand experiences that also help people who don't have CF relate to them. Much better means of advertising, I think. That's my opinion. So, the film, I think, has done fairly well in the box office. I think it opened at number 3 with like $13 million, which some people out there are wrongly saying it raised $13 million as in implying it was towards some charitable cause. It's not. The film made a lot of money, and I do believe that they have worked to there is an amount that is going towards CF nonprofits. From my understanding, it's actually a very small amount. So for anyone out there who wants to support these CF foundations, around the country, the film isn't the way to do it. It's kind of through your own advertising and donations. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't see the movie. It was really good. I liked it. Inaccuracies, eye rolls, and all. So, if you like more of these videos, please hit that subscribe button. Like this video, share it with your friends, and just leave your comments. I want to know what you all think. So, let me know. I'll see you guys next time.